The Remarkable Unremarkable by FoggyGlassEye. In the countless courses I've taught at the medical school, not a single experience challenged my belief that there were two kinds of students: those who had the hands of a surgeon and those who did not. No amount of passion can stop a hand from shaking, and no level of determination can make up for lack of precision. That is what I believed then, and it is what I believe now. In truth, it's quite simple. All it takes is a steady hand and a steady mind. Nothing more is needed, and nothing less can ever be tolerated. Most of the unremarkables accepted this with dignity, but some could not accept the truth. I've forgotten his name, but one student made quite the impression on me during his time at the school. Funnily enough, the only notable thing about him when he first entered my classroom was how wide he was. The distracting nature of his form magnified by his incredible lack of height. The boy was nearly a circle, his forehead and upper lip constantly damp with sweat, his hands always shaking. His mind was far less interesting than his body. His scores were disappointing. The few questions he asked when he gathered the courage to raise his hand were so fundamentally basic that it was a waste of my time to even bother answering them. After our first practical exam, removing the hearts from pigeons and sewing the incisions closed, I knew that he had no chance of becoming anything but a liability in an operating room. He'd cut the damn thing nearly in half, and the sewn-up remains looked like the result of blind taxidermy. I told him as much, in front of the entire class, and he cried as he stormed out. When I heard that he'd dropped the class, I thought that was it. With his dreams crushed, I assumed that the boy would become something far less difficult, like a pediatrician. Then, after the first class, without his intrusive presence, I returned to my office and found that he left me a gift. I didn't know it was from him until I opened the box. There was no note, but when I looked inside and found what I could only describe as a ball made of stitched-together pigeon wings, I recognized his work. The flesh cut by a shaking hand, the amateur, childlike sewing. It was clearly the boy's doing. I threw the gift away, interested by the creativity, but thoroughly unimpressed by the execution. That was over a decade ago. I don't teach anymore, but he still leaves me little gifts on my doorstep, like an apple on a teacher's desk. I'll admit, I've grown rather fond of the boy's presence. And sure, after he started using human remains for his gifts, I should have reported it. But I can't help but respect how much his stitching has improved. He may not be a surgeon, but he is certainly an artist.